The god Hades had a really messed up plan to trap Persephone, the daughter of Zeus and Demeter, forever in the underworld. And it all started because Hades was lonely. You know, ruling the underworld was a pretty big job. He was in charge of all the dead people, and he needed someone to do the paperwork, so Hades decided to get married. But not just to anyone, no, he wanted Persephone to be his queen. Only problem was Persephone's mom, Demeter, was the goddess of the harvest, and she wasn't exactly thrilled about her daughter marrying a guy whose whole thing was he was the god of the underworld. But Hades was persistent, and he went straight to Zeus to ask for his support. Now, Zeus was kind of a problem. See, Persephone was also his daughter, and he didn't want to upset either one of them. So to make things easier, he decided to let Persephone choose who she wanted to marry. And honestly, that went about as well as you'd expect a plan to get your daughter married by having another god throw a bunch of flowers at her and then yell, "Take these, I choose you." Would go. Persephone was like, "Whoa, back up a minute. I don't even know this guy, and you're just throwing me into a volcano?" But before she could escape, Hades had already grabbed her hand and shoved her into the ground, trapping her there forever. Okay, maybe that didn't go as smoothly as he'd hoped, but Hades wasn't giving up. That is, after all, the god whose wife was kidnapped by some earth giants and then trapped in a cave for 4 years. So he understood how frustrating it could be when Persephone got trapped in the underworld. She was a little mad at first, but Hades figured that, if he played his cards right, she might eventually come around. So he had his servants bring her flowers and gifts, and he sang her songs, and told her all about how great the underworld really was. And to his surprise, it actually worked. Persephone really liked the attention, and soon she and Hades were hanging out all the time. They went on chariot rides through the underworld, they took trips to hell, and Hades even introduced Persephone to his friends, including Hypnos, the god of sleep, and Thanatos, the personification of death itself. One day, while they were hanging out, Hades asked Persephone if she wanted to take a trip to see his favorite place in the entire underworld, the field of Asphodel Meadows. It was basically the default destination for most nice, non-heroic souls after they died. It was peaceful and quiet and full of flowers. Plus, Hades knew it would remind Persephone of home since it looked a lot like the mortal realm. But before they arrived, Hades stopped his carriage and said he had to go to a quick meeting with one of his buddies, and he asked Persephone if she could just hold on to these for pomegranates until he got back. You know, even gods need a little snack break sometimes. But Persephone was bored and she was hungry, so she decided to eat the pomegranates herself. Only problem was those weren't just any pomegranates. They were magic pomegranates from the Tree of Life, which meant that whoever ate them was forever bound to the underworld. And by now, you probably know that Hades tricked her into doing this so that she couldn't escape him. But depending on which version of the myth you read, he either did it just to mess with her, or he was actually trying to make her an offer. See, when Hades proposed marriage to Persephone, Persephone's mom, Demeter, made her swear an oath that she would never, ever marry an underworld god. So Hades figured that if he tricked her into eating those pomegranate seeds, she'd be stuck in the underworld anyway, so why not just make her his queen? Worst case scenario, she'd rule the underworld alongside him for eternity. Best case scenario, her mom would be none the wiser and they could rule the entire universe together. But unfortunately for Hades, it was neither of those scenarios. Instead, it was a third option, which was Persephone screaming at him for 5 straight years until Demeter found her and was like, "Hey, what's all this ruckus about? Oh, wait, you're marrying my daughter without my permission. Okay, then." And then Demeter did stuff. Yeah, we'll talk about that next time. Thanks for watching. Hey, like it if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it. Check out our other videos, comment below with video suggestions, and don't forget to subscribe and follow.